All right, welcome to Talking Investing. I am Tom, and as always, this is not financial advice. Today, I want to do a Bitcoin update, but it will not be my daily Bitcoin update. Today, I want to do a special edition. I want to zoom out, and I want to tell you why I think 2023 is going to be a bullish year for Bitcoin. I have 4 specific reasons looking at the technicals, so I want to go through that and tell you why I think, in the end, this is going to be a good year. So we cover Bitcoin and the Bitcoin miners all the time on this channel. If that's content that you're interested in, please remember to subscribe to the channel and hit the notification bell. Also, if everybody could please smash the like button, I would appreciate it. It really helps the channel out a lot. Lastly, if you're interested, you can become a member of the channel by hitting the join button on the YouTube page. So that should be right next to the subscribe button. If you do not see a join button, there's a link in the description below. Members get some members only content once a week every Tuesday after the market closes. We do a members only live stream, and on that live stream, members get to pick a stock for me to do a deep dive video on for the members. So we have a lot of fun there. You're welcome to join us. Let's talk about Bitcoin, and let's zoom out and look at the big picture a little bit. I don't want people to think that I'm saying Bitcoin is off to the races and it's straight back to 69,000. I said at the beginning of this year, coming into this year, I think volatility is going to be the word of the year. We've already experienced massive volatility on Bitcoin and in the Bitcoin mining companies, and I think that trend is going to continue. But I do think we have seen a clear shift. So we're going to have our ups and we're going to have our downs. So, that's more what my daily Bitcoin update is for. And this, I want to show you 4 larger trends that seem to be moving in the right direction, some of which I think are super crystal clear in my opinion. But of course, technical analysis is always subject to interpretation. Okay, here's the first one. This is Bitcoin on the 1-day time frame. So something significant happened that has not happened since Bitcoin hit $69,000 in November of 2021. So that's well over a year ago. That was the peak. So on the 1-day time frame, we have now set a higher high. That's the first time that's happened on the 1-day time frame since Bitcoin peaked in November of 2021. So that is a clear shift. Any one thing doesn't confirm a trend, but the more pieces of data that you can put together that start to paint the same picture, the more confident that you can get in confirming that potentially, you've had a reversal. This is number 1. A higher high. These are price targets for December 31st, 2023. So again, it's super important to understand volatility is the word this year. So we will have our ups and downs, and so far they have been vicious, and I expect that to continue. As soon as we took out this green line just under 21,500, technically we hit a higher high at that point. However, we have now taken out this line that dates back to September of 2022 that was just under 23,000. So far on this rally, we've gotten up to about 23,400. So we're a solid 500 or 600 points above this point. So this current higher high is actually taking out 2 previous peaks. So that gives me some extra confidence. Now, what would really give me confidence is if we could take out this line at 25,000. So the question is, is it a straight line from here to here? Because we have had very strong momentum upwards, and it seems like that momentum is holding strong. Or are we going to pull back and trade in a range and then try and test this? Once you get above this $25,000 level, there's a range up to about $28,500. So that's about $3,500, where you can see in the last year, there was only about 4 or 5 days that Bitcoin was ever in this range. So Bitcoin does not spend time in this range. If I go backwards, for the last year and a half prior to this, Bitcoin traded in this range 0 days. So over the last 2+ years, Bitcoin's been between 25,000 and 28,500 for a total maybe of 5 days. So I think that's a gigantic gap. So I do think if we could take out this $25,000 line, there is a big gap to fill to the upside. So I don't know when that's going to happen, but again, I'm looking big picture for 2023, so these are some of the things that I think are going to happen in the year 2023. Okay, so the next one is another giant reversal. This is Bitcoin on the 1-week time frame, and what I want to look at is the RSI, because if I go all the way back to 2017, this was the peak of the last bull market rally. So you'll see the RSI peaked in December of 2017. That's roughly when Bitcoin peaked. For the next year plus, we had a descending line of resistance, and we could not break through that line all the way down to, new lows. Bitcoin got back down to near $3,000 from almost $20,000. So that was a gigantic pullback, 85% plus pullback. You know, that's our crypto winter. So if I line up the daily RSI, you'll see the second that we crossed that line of resistance and went above that line, that corresponds exactly with the bottom on Bitcoin. And then over the next few months, Bitcoin had a 316% rally. That's this yellow line right here. So once we crossed this line, and it took over a year to do so, over the next few months, we had a gigantic rally from there, up 300%. Now, this was not the big rally. This didn't even get us back to our 2017 highs. This was just a rally in the middle. Later, we had our rally all the way up to 69,000. So you'll see that's this line right here. So in January of 2021, the RSI reached a new peak again. And from there, we had another descending line of resistance that lasted well over a year. And you'll see we tested this line several times, but could not get through it. But essentially, sometime around January 2nd, we did break through this line. The last time we broke through a similar line of resistance was in February of 2019. So, you know, it's almost 4 years later. So that plays into the 4-year cycle. We've broken through this line, and you can see the second we did, we had a gigantic jump in Bitcoin, which has been this January rally. So this is why, in the big picture, I do think 2023 is going to be bullish. The last time this setup happened, we had over a 300% increase in the price of Bitcoin, and that was not even the big move, but that was clearly a switch into a bull market. Up 316% is a bull market, and it's a good one. Okay, the third thing I want to look at is the Bollinger Bands. I very rarely bring this up on the channel. I don't like to get too technical, and some of this stuff is really more big picture stuff, and it doesn't play into the day-to-day Bitcoin, but we did reach a historic level. The Bollinger Bands have squeezed to a point that they have not been to in years, and you're going to see that is this point right here. So once again, this is the first week in January. This is the tightest the Bollinger Bands have been in about 2.5 years. The last time they got this tight, and I will zoom out and show you, Bitcoin went on a big run to the upside. So it is very rare. There's only been a few times in Bitcoin's history. Essentially, this is following the 20-day moving average, and it's going 2 standard deviations above and 2 standard deviations below, and it's creating a channel. So as that channel gets smaller and smaller, that means Bitcoin is going sideways and consolidating. So this was record consolidation, and that's what I had talked about earlier in the video. If I zoom out, again, this is still on the 1-day time frame, the same Bollinger Bands. So this is right here where we just experienced. You have to go all the way back to here in July of 2020. So this is the last time we had a squeeze like this. And you can see what happened subsequent to that squeeze over the course of the next 6 months after that. And that's why I'm looking at the year 2023 and not so much, I don't know what's going to happen tomorrow. I don't know what's going to happen next month. But these indicators tend to indicate what's going to happen over the next several months or the rest of the year. So the last time this happened, this was the catalyst essentially to run all the way up to $65,000. Okay, the last one's the Fear and Greed Index. I want to talk about the Fear and Greed Index. I haven't talked about this in a while. We spent about 10 months in fear on the Fear and Greed Index. This index is about 5 years old. We've never had a period like that before. This was a pretty vicious down cycle. But we today are at 50, which is absolute neutral on the Fear and Greed Index. You can see yesterday we were at 53. Last week we're at 45, which is still in fear, but just at the edge, really more towards neutral. Well, there was a 10-month period that we spent in fear. So this move to neutral is a definite shift, and I'm going to go to the chart and show you. I think this is the clearest indicator of them all, in my opinion. But again, no one indicator is going to dictate where we go. Even putting 4 together in a row like this is no guarantee of where we're going to go. But the more you can confirm a trend, the more confidence you can have of a potential move in that direction. This is a 1-year chart of the Fear and Greed Index. And I want to show you, to me, this is super crystal clear. This index reached 60 back at the end of March, beginning of April. That is when Bitcoin had a giant bull run up to about $48,000. So since then, we have only hit lower highs. We had another run in August, if you remember, back up to 25,000. Well, that got back to, under 50 on the Fear and Greed Index. So then the next rally, which happened in October, November, we only got up to about 40 on the Fear and Greed Index. So you can see this is clearly setting lower lows the entire year. Well, we have now broken out of that cycle, just like the other charts, for the first time in over a year in Bitcoin. And there's some other things on this chart that I think help show the consolidation period. This was June of 2022, so this is why I believe this was the actual low. The FTX situation caused the entire crypto world to go down to what I think was an unnatural place, but there was a short-term gigantic cascading effect that has since been erased and we've recovered all of that. But you can see from a fear and greed standpoint, from a zoomed out big picture standpoint, we got into extreme fear in June of 2022. This is actually the lowest week the fear and greed index has ever had in its 5-year history. So to me, that was a very clear bottom. We did set a line of support. So no matter what rally we took, as we pulled back, we did not go below this line at 20 for the rest of the year. So we were down around 10, and then we got down around 6 back here in this extreme fear period. So we never got back to those points. So really, the rest of this year, in my mind, has been a lot of sideways action, a lot of consolidation, and obviously we did hit a lower low. But all in all, from the June lows of 17,500, which was the flash crash, really, we were in pretty much the same spot just about 3 weeks ago. And then you can see we had a breakout. So this breakout, this green circle represents a higher high. This is the first time we've gotten out of fear, really since the bull rally back in March of 2022. So, you know, that was a full 10 plus months ago. So this whole year was a bear market. So we haven't even seen what a bull market looks like. So we have broken a trend. We've set a higher high. If we can continue to set higher highs on this index can get overheated. This can get to extreme greed and spend a little bit of time there. You know, we don't know when or if that's going to happen, but that is the definition of a bull market. That's what this looks like in a bull market. So if I zoom out to the max on this, you'll see we were over 90 for an extended period of time. So you can see getting to 50 is not the end of the line on this. It's actually kind of a line in the sand, and if we could pop above that line, there's actually a lot more room to run to the upside. Having said that, I want to end this video on the Bitcoin 1-day time frame because, like I said, I think it's important to reiterate. The word of the year is volatility, so I don't think this is all in a straight line. I think these are very nice zoomed out trends that all seem to be moving in the right direction. So that's my reason for being bullish, even in the year 2023. I know a lot of people think we're going to go sideways in 2023. There are still those that are waiting for Bitcoin to crash down to 10,000 or below 10,000. That was the consensus view 2 months ago. So I'm not saying that's not going to happen. Those are 4 clear indications that we have broken out of a year-plus cycle of downward momentum. So as always, Bitcoin is extremely volatile, so please be careful. This is not financial advice. Trade wisely. So we'll have to take a look at how this develops, and maybe once a month I will take a look at these types of big pictures again and see if they've continued to move in the right direction. So that's all I got for today. Thanks so much for watching, and I will see you in the next video.